Hey guys, this is the boy who had seven. So today we're going to be talking about two of my most absolute favorite Marvel characters of all time, two amazing X-Men, two star-crossed lovers, two reformed villains. We're going to be talking about Rogue and Gambit. So Rogue and Gambit just got their own miniseries. As you can see on the right here, Rogue and Gambit #1 just came out last week. It's written by Kelly Thompson. And when that came out, when I heard that was coming out, I got so excited. You know, as a little boy, after school, I'd run home as fast as I could. I'd run into the kitchen, grab a snack, and I'd turn on the TV just in time to catch X-Men the Animated Series. I'd watch that, and then right after that, Spider-Man would come on, and right after that, Batman the Animated Series would come on. As you guys can imagine, if any of you watched those shows like I did, you know that that was 1.5 hours of awesomeness. I can't tell you how much those animated series had an impact on me, and I know my generation. So, Rogue and Gambit, the romance between them, the sexiness of their individual characters and the sexiness together, the way that they flirt, the way that they've been together and broken up and been together and broken up over time. I have been waiting to see them come back together again. Now, I don't know if this miniseries is going to do that. I'm not sure if Rogue and Gambit are going to come back together, but it is my hope that they come back together and become a couple again, that Rogue figures out her powers and how to control her touch one more time so that she can be with Gambit. So, when I was, last year in 2017, when I went to my local Comic-Con, Chris Claremont was there, and so I grabbed my comic that you see in front of me, my personal comic, and I wanted him to sign it. I was so excited to meet him and to tell him how much I love these two characters that he created, or co-created with Jim Lee and with Michael Golden. And so when my son and I were in line, I couldn't help but hum to myself. And you guys will recognize this as I was sitting there. Da-na-na-na-na-na, 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 da-na-na. You guys know, you remember that song. So I'm sitting there in line, humming this to myself. It's finally our turn to go up. We get him to sign a bunch of comics, and this is one of the ones he signed for us. And I tell him, Mr. Claremont, I absolutely love Rogue and Gambit. And you know what he says? He says, with a little bit of attitude, which was shocking, I never meant for them to be together. They weren't supposed to be a couple. Blew my mind. What are you talking? Are you serious? This is one of the coolest romantic couples of all time in Marvel history. I mean, you got Cyclops and Jean Grey, of course, and then after them, it's probably these two, and they weren't meant to be together. And so he begins to tell me this whole story, that how he wrote that Rogue was supposed to go to Wakanda for a mission, and she fell in love with T'Challa, the Black Panther, and they became a huge power couple because she was the only woman strong enough to match his strength and his wisdom. I was sitting there as Chris Claremont is telling me this, thinking, how cool is that idea? But at the same time, I am so happy that Rogue and Gambit became a thing and that story never happened, because I absolutely love these two characters. Look at X-Men #24. Andy Kubert, Matthew Ryan. Look at the way that she is embracing Gambit, that she's holding him. Look at her body and the curves of her body, not in a perverted way, but in a beautiful, sexy way. Look at those legs and the way they're popped up, her ankles in this wonderful feminist embrace. And then look at Gambit. How cool is that outfit that Jim Lee gave him? I mean, that to me is super beautiful, super awesome. This whole idea that she can't touch the one that she loves, because if she touches him, her absorption powers will steal his powers, will put him in a coma, will take his memories, which happens between them two. You know, I remember from that animated series, her southern drawl. I couldn't get enough of her talking about sugar. I just loved it. And then to think about Gambit and how much he flirted with her in his own Cajun accent, and those flaming red eyes, and how awesome it was that he would use a bow staff, which, let's be honest, Donatello, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, made super popular, right? I mean, just it was perfect to come out in the 90s the way that it did, this couple, and now we may be seeing them back together again. And so let's talk about this comic here, Rogue and Gambit #1 by Thompson. So look, when I first heard it was going to come out, I was super excited, like I've told you. But then the second thing that I thought was, oh no. Oh no. And the reason I thought that is this. Marvel has been losing a lot of money lately. They've been losing a lot of readership. People are angry at what's going on in Marvel. They don't like the stories. They don't like what's happening. I've heard people on social media say that Marvel has been hijacked by social justice warriors. Now, I'm not going to get into all of that, but I can tell you that I do see that their sales are plummeting. I do see that there's a lot of people that are angry and not happy with what's going on. And when I saw this cover, when it could be pre-ordered, I was worried about it. I was worried about it because Rogue looks completely opposite in this comic book cover than she does in X-Men #24, right? So if we look at Rogue here, okay, super smuggy look on her face, super masculine look. Her body's too muscular. She doesn't look attractive. It's just something different. So when I saw this, I thought to myself, oh no, please, 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 Marvel, do not ruin Rogue and Gambit. They are the sexiness of heterosexual relationship. They are two sexy, awesome, amazing, powerful, smart characters that have come together and had this sexual and this romantic tension between them. And there's so much history there. If you do it right, I guarantee I will buy every single comic. I will go to any movie that comes out about Rogue and Gambit. I will buy posters for my kids and toys and shirts and memorabilia. If you do it right, you will make money off of me. And I guarantee, if you do it right, you're going to make money off of all of my generation and the new generations that come and those that love this story. So, having said that, let's look at this comic book. Let's examine what's going on in here and see if my fears are founded or unfounded. So right away, we have the comic book start with this idea of time being one eternal round, right? It's saying if time is a circle, then everything happens. And then I love this next page. Boom, at once. Okay, look at the beautiful colors, the green into the purples, into the pinks, right? And then we have this whole right here, you have Gambit and Rogue fighting, right? You can tell she's screaming. He's fighting back, but they're in this embrace, right? Their bodies are almost entwined, and all around them are these broken shards of glass that have a little bit of their history, right? History that I don't remember and history that I do. Look at that kiss. I mean, how I wanted them to kiss so bad when I was a kid, but they couldn't because she'd kill him, right? I remember these things. Look at that. You know what comic that's from. This is awesome. That looks like that is from something new, right? So, okay, so we have this idea of time and their history, and that's exactly what I was saying earlier. If Marvel, if Kelly Thompson uses their history together, their rich romantic tension, they could do this right. So right away, I'm super excited, okay? So here we go. Kelly Thompson, writer, and the artist, colorist, letterer, cover artist, Chris Anka. Don't mean to be rude, just my opinion. And so here we go. So we have these kids on this island, Ciudad Paraíso, and they are running from somebody, and their powers are running out. They're hiding, obviously, in an alley behind a trash can, and then the person that's hunting them comes around the corner. In the flash of a light, they are dead, or they are sucked of their powers or something. And so this person says, from the looks of it, all three of you have completed the program. So here we go. We're getting set up. What is the program? What's going on? And so here's this page where just full nostalgia comes back to me. I absolutely love this, okay? how many times did we see the X-Men in the animated series fighting in the Danger Room, right? How many times did we see Rogue fighting Sentinels? Okay, now look, right here, Gambit all cool and suave, leaning up against the door with his bow staff and his awesome outfit, right? Storm in charge, taking care of the controls. And so Gambit breaks in while Rogue is fighting the Sentinels with Psylocke and with Pixie and Armor. And so right away she's like, hey, this is a closed session, don't come in. And Gambit's like, I'm going in no matter what. You don't control me like he always does. And so there's this huge battle. He starts like flirting with her and talking to her, and she loses her concentration, and bam, look at that. She gets smashed by the Sentinel. But check out Gambit's reaction, right? He screams Rogue. He runs over to her. He touches the Sentinel with his bow staff and his kinetic energy and blasts. Look at that. He blasts the Sentinel's hand away. And then what does he do? He embraces Rogue, right? And so he embraces Rogue. Super awesome. There's all this tension between them. He gets all close to kissing her, and then she slaps his face away. I really loved it. You know, I thought this is classic Gambit and Rogue. I remember watching him try to woo her for so many episodes in the animated series, and here he is trying to do it again, and she would always rebuff his advances. How cool is that? So he catches her later out in the hallway, and this is what I like. There's a way to talk about history. There's a way to talk about sex in comics, right? I mean, a lot of kids are going to read this, and you don't want to do it the wrong way. You don't want to do it in an overly gross, sensualized, perverted way, right? And so he's talking to her saying, hey, let's go to dinner. And she's like, it's not always just dinner with you, right? And so there's this whole idea of them touching skin to skin. And right here, he's like, you know what? That's why we're best friends. And she's just like, I can't control my powers anymore. I can't touch you. I don't want anything to do with this. And so she's saved by Kitty Pryde, who is the head mistress of the school, calling her on the intercom. And so she leaves Gambit there, and she goes in and she talks to Kitty. And here, talking to Kitty, Kitty tells her, okay, I've got a mission for you. There's these kids that have been disappearing that are mutants, and I really need your help, but I really don't know. And she starts beating around the bush, and Rogue's like, well, get to the point. And Kitty's like, okay, so the way we're gonna infiltrate this and solve this problem is there's this Paradise Island for mutants couples that are having problems, and I need to send you in with Gambit to pretend you're a mutant couple having problems. And so Rogue's like, heck no way, there's no way I'm going. Why don't you and Colossus go? And Kitty's like, because I'm the boss, and that's the perks of being the boss, we're not going. And so Rogue's like, well, Gambit's never gonna agree to this. And the next thing we see is they're on the flight, and she's like, I can't believe you agreed to this, because Kitty had spoken with Gambit before he even talked to Rogue, and he's obviously like, oh yeah, let's go. So next page, they're on the flight, and they get in this huge fight about how she kissed Deadpool. This is a story I don't know, so I've got to go back and look at it and read it myself. I want to see when Rogue is kissing Deadpool. How gross, right? But Gambit's super angry, and so they have this whole fight, but yet you can tell that Rogue is messing with his feelings. She likes the fact that he's angry that she kissed Deadpool. And so after that, they land, and once they land, they get to this island, and on this island, they're put in this room. And I mean, check that out. The room right away is for a couple that's having problems. There's some type of alcohol on the bed, and there's flower petals and roses, and I mean, look how pretty that looks. And so they're on this little island of a hotel, and their neighbors come on over, and their neighbors are super creepy. I mean, her eyes are glowing. Rogue and Gambit know they're actually in a place where there's bad guys that are like stealing mutants, and so they know something creepy is going on. Here's my favorite part, though, and this is the one that I wanted to get to with you. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You don't know me yet, but as you come to know me, I'm a pretty emotional guy, and this was a little bit of a tearjerker for me. So Remy is starting to tell her, like, look, we're going to this therapy session, and let's do it. And Rogue's like, well, we have a lot of baggage between us. and I'm not sure if this is gonna work. I mean, don't think that this is some way for us to get back together. But check this out. He says, I don't know, Cher. It's heavy, but it's never something I wanted to drop. But I admit it's getting harder to carry alone. And she's like, alone? You stopped lifting long ago, and I don't got super strength, girl. So why don't you just let it go? You know why? And maybe, well, I know we're not really here for us, but maybe this can help us anyway. I mean, look at Gambit, and this guy is just unabashedly in love with Rogue. He cannot get enough of her. He absolutely loves her, and he's telling her, like, come on, let's get back together. Let's work this out. I know this is a mission, but let's make this thing work. And so they grab hands and they head in, and the very last page, boom, check that out. You were saved. They're both tied down on these medical beds. And so after reading this whole comic, after going through it, the nostalgia of the danger room, the tension between them and their relationship, I mean, I'm just really excited. I think Kelly Thompson started this out great. And if they keep going with that whole idea that they started this book with, where time is an eternal round, where it's happening all at the same time, where our past is coming back to our present, and they do that for us as the readership, how awesome is that going to be? That we get those feelings of the old days along with the great things of today, the newness of a brand new story that I'm excited now to buy Rogue and Gambit #2. So anyways, guys, I hope you like this video. I hope you see how excited I am about comics, how much they mean to me. I hope you leave me a like, and in the comments below, tell me what you think about Rogue and Gambit coming together, and tell me how many of you guys remember the animated X-Men song, and if you ever sing it to yourself when you're walking through the store and you see an X-Men character, or when you grab your first X-Men comic, or when you're wrestling with your kids. Let me know. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great night.